formed against me shall prosper. I am more than a conqueror. I'm waking up out of nightmares, gasp for breath. Living in these last days, enemies
So we're
after
going to
my
start
death.
out in the New Testament in Mark, the 12th chapter. And we see in this series that there are some things that we can render or give or yield up to Caesar, which is this Roman government that we're up under. But then there are some other things, some spiritual things that we cannot render to Caesar.
No, we cannot.
And we were going through an article on the previous show talking about the Pharisees and the Herodians, or the Herods, and who these people were that came against Yahshua. And they were asking him a question about what was Torah or lawful for us Hebrew Israelites to do. That's who they were asking now, not just natural people, because natural people do anything they want. Yahweh has some do's and don'ts for us that are looking to be in his kingdom. And where we start practicing being in the kingdom is here. We don't wait till after we die and practice. It's too late. If you wait till after you die. Let's read the scripture in Mark, the 12th chapter. And we want to start at verse 15. Mark 12. And are you there, sis? Verse 15. All right, let's read it, please.
How shall we give, or shall we not give? But let it be knowing their
Hypocrisy, yes.
said unto them, why tempt ye me? Bring me a penny that I may see.
Verse 16.
And they brought it, and he said unto them, whose is this image and prescription? And they said unto him, Caesar. 17. And Yahshua answering said unto them, render to Caesar the things that are Caesar, and to Yahweh the things that are Yahweh's. And they marveled at him.
Now they're wondering, like, where did he get this from? They thought he could only answer this or that, and he came up with a whole new answer. They are asking him, shall we give or shall we not give? They were talking about that tribute money, which is a coin. They were talking about, is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar? Well, they were asking the question because they wanted to trap him. And you can read up a little further in the chapter to see what he was talking about. But they wanted to trap him and get him to say something against Caesar, so then they could call Caesar to come down on him, or the Roman government, and maybe put him in jail or do something to him. We saw in this series that Rome and the Herods or Herodians, which are the Edomites, joined together and put to death some of our people. So it's all about when you don't know what to render to Caesar and what not to render to Caesar, that people want to try to trap you, so then they can call the authorities on you to say you violated a law. But the whole point is to stop you from serving Yahweh, to discourage you. They said, shall we give taxes to Caesar or not? But it said Yahshua read their minds. Just like Yahweh's given us Ruach HaKodesh. We don't try to read people's minds.
No, we don't.
We don't do like on Star Trek where Spock went from my mind to your mind. We don't have to do that. Yahweh tells us things about you, what you're thinking, what you're doing, that he needs us to know to help you, not to spy on you, to help you to overcome and stop doing things when you haven't quite learned that that's not the way to do things. He said, but he knew that they were hypocrites. They weren't really asking him that to help him, they were asking him that to trap him. So he responded, why are you tempting me? Why are you throwing out this leading question, this scorpion type question? Alright? He said, show me a penny, or show me this coin that got Caesar's head on it. Then they brought the coin to him and he said, okay, whose picture's on this coin? He said, oh, it's Caesar. He said, so give it back to Caesar. He said, render to Caesar, give it back up to Caesar.
That's
He's
right.
got a law that said you're supposed to pay taxes.
That's it.
So give back to Caesar what you're supposed to give to Caesar. Then he said something else now. He said, render to Elohim,
Yeah.
to Yahweh, the things that are Yahweh. So
Hallelujah.
there are some things that are Yahweh's that we can't give back to Caesar
Oh,
because
no.
they're not Caesar's.
Amen.
But guess what? Caesar has threatened our people with death
Yes.
if they don't give up some things Yahweh said don't give up. So hopefully it won't get to that point with you or I, but there's going to come a period of time called the Great Tribulation where it will come to that point.
Yep.
Well, they say either render, bow down and worship Caesar or Rome, these pagan gods, or die. That's why we're here at the temple now, so we can
Hallelujah.
understand how to avoid that.
That's right.
So
Be
we don't
prepared.
get caught up in that. Because it won't always be so lovely and nice as things are going now. But he asked the question, okay, should we pay taxes to Caesar or not? Now we had looked in another show where it's talking about there's a movement, and I personally know of a movement. This brother called himself a Hebrew Israelite, but really he was a Seventh-day Adventist, converted to being a Hebrew Israelite, and I don't think he was fully converted because he caused some people to lose some money. But he went talking about this thing called being a sovereign citizen.
All right, Ross, and answer no.
And that sovereign, he claimed meant, okay, if you got a house, you don't have to pay taxes. If you drive a car, you don't have to get the city sticker. You don't have to pay your license. But what they didn't know about him, that we knew when we met him, was that he was having somebody else drive him around because the police kept stopping him and arresting him. He would tell them, I'm a sovereign citizen and all that. But the bottom line was, they told him, look, well, you can't drive this vehicle because you don't have your plates. All right, but anyway, there were some people that lost their houses and different things because it sounds good to my flesh. Like, ooh, I don't have to pay taxes and I own a house. Well, you can listen to that if you want. But we read this thing where the FBI called being a sovereign citizen domestic terrorism. And for those that don't pay their taxes or think that they don't have to pay any taxes, I got this list, 17 celebrities convicted of tax evasion. And there's a whole lot of them that were convicted. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they got Al Capone, that big gangster in Chicago, and they were trying to get him on different things, and I believe the thing they finally got him on was tax evasion. All right? So this was written in May 24th, 2018, and I'm not going to read all the names, but they got this guy named Dean Cain. He had $190,000 that he owed. Wesley Snipes says cheated the IRS out of $7 million, but guess what? In order for him to come back, I think he ran to Europe or something. In order for him to have to come back, did he come back and go to prison?
Yes,
Okay, see, Caesar doesn't play. Rome doesn't play. It's like, you can make a choice not to pay your taxes, but Caesar's going to catch up with you.
You're going to pay one way or the other.
And then they say Lauryn Hill was guilty of tax evasion. She owed about $1 million of taxes. Says Pete Rose, I guess he's in baseball, he failed to report some income, and he was in jail for 5 months and fined $50,000. Ja Rule, for some of you young people, he owed $1.1 million in back taxes. MC Hammer, can't touch that. Caesar touched him. Settled $800,000 debt due to IRS. Lindsay Lohan underpaid taxes for 3 years in a row. She underpaid by $93,701. Sinbad, y'all remember him on the Bible show? Owed $8.3 million to IRS. Courtney Love shorted the IRS $911,000. You got Stephen Baldwin owing the IRS $400,000. Daniel Strawberry, I think he's some kind of sports figure.
Baseball
Right.
player.
Okay, he failed to report more than $500,000 in tax income. All right, he was sentenced to 3 months in prison and 3 months of house arrest. Then you got Fat Joe, that's that rapper.
Right.
All right, he was sentenced to 4 months in prison, a $15,000 fine. He paid $718,000 in taxes. So the list goes on, even back to the 70s. Chuck Berry, he was convicted of tax evasion, and he served 4 months in jail. All right, said he was 90 years old. I don't know if he was 90 when he went to jail, but either way, you can't get away from Caesar. You have to render to Caesar. Now you can make the choice not to render, but Yahshua told you right here in the scripture,
Right.
hey, give to Caesar what's Caesar.
That's right.
Give to Yahweh what's his. But
That's
see,
right.
we have to know the difference.
Right.
All right, let's go to Daniel, the 2nd chapter.
Praise
So
Yahweh.
if we get confused and we have property, or we have an automobile, Daniel 2, and we think, oh, you know what, that's something I don't have to render to Caesar. No, you don't, but you're going to end up in jail. You're going to end up rendering it anyway. We can always make the choice
Yep.
to do what we want to do, but will you get away with it? That's the thing.
Not for long.
No. So Caesar, or Rome, is man's last world ruling empire, the Gentile empire. So we are up under Caesar or Rome's rule.
That's
Yep.
right.
There are laws that we have to obey. Yahshua's telling us now, you have to obey or render to Caesar what's lawful to render. But now then there are some things that, spiritual things, we can't give up to
That's
Caesar.
right. That's
And one of the
Thus
things
says
is
Yahweh.
Caesar forced our people to stop worshiping on the 7th day,
Right.
like we do now.
Right.
And some of them gave it up. That wasn't lawful for them to do. But rather than face death, they said, you know what? I'm going to start worshiping on the 1st day of the week, like Caesar said to do. And that's going to happen again in the future.
Yep.
Daniel 2, let's start at verse 29.
Hallelujah.
Daniel 2 and verse 29.
As for thee, O king, thy thoughts came into thy mind upon thy bed. What should come to pass hereafter, and he that revealeth secrets make it known to thee what shall come to pass.
Verse 30.
But as for me, this secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have, more than any living, but for thy sake, that shall make known the interpretation to the king, and that thou mightest know the thoughts of my heart.
So here is this black Hebrew prophet, Daniel, when he was a slave in the white Babylon, called Neo-Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom.
Right.
And Nebuchadnezzar, this white king, had a dream, and he was wanting to know what this dream was about. Well, his wise men, who were no wise men, couldn't tell him what the dream was about. So then he said, look, just kill them all. Well, these Hebrew men, Daniel, and then the 3 Hebrew men that were with him, these 4 were companions, slaves in Babylon. Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azaryahu. They got together, and Daniel prayed, and Yahweh let him know what this dream was about.
Praise
What Yahweh
Yahweh.
showed this white king was the 4 white world ruling empires. Call them Gentile world ruling empires,
Right.
and Rome was the last one before Yahshua comes back and stops all this world rulership.
Right.
All right? He said, he's talking to this king Nebuchadnezzar, what you thought about on your bed, what you dreamed about. He said, Yahweh revealed a secret to me. I didn't know what it was about. I prayed to him. Now he told me what it was about. Now he's going to tell him what he saw. All right, verse 31.
Thou, O king, saidest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible.
32.
This image head was of fine gold, his beast, and
His breast,
breast, and his arms of silver, his belly, and his thighs of brass,
33.
his legs of iron, his feet part of iron, and part of clay.
Now what this image is describing is these Caucasian world ruling empires.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, King, this is what you saw. You saw a great image. Looked like a man, but he was made of different types of metals. He had a head like gold, which when you read the rest of this chapter, we're not going to read it, that represented the the white Babylonian Empire. There was a black Babylonian Empire, which you read about that, where they built this Tower of Babel.
Right, right.
And then Yahweh came and messed everything up and confused the languages. They were from Hamites. People call them Africans now.
Right.
All right.
Like
So he says, this image, he had a gold head. His breast and his arms were silver. The next empire is the Medo-Persian Empire. Those were Caucasians or Gentiles too. All right. That's what's over there in the Middle East now that you're seeing on TV.
Okay.
And you think that they're over there. No, they weren't. They just took the place of the people that used to be over there and now colorized the Middle East to change it from black folks to white people.
Right.
All right? So they were the breast and arms of silver, then his belly and thighs of brass. That's the Greek Empire. All right? So we all know when you hear Greek, everybody think about white folks, right?
Yeah.
So you should think about white folks, except like I had mentioned in the previous show, when I went away to college, some of us went away to college, and some of these so-called black colleges are the worst
Right.
for making people be Greek.
Right.
But we're not Greeks,
No, we're not.
all right? We're Hebrews. We never were Greek, but part of once the Greeks took over, part of their program was to kind of brainwash and stop us and strip us
Right.
from being who we were.
Hallelujah.
So now, at these black colleges, there are people pledging Greek fraternities and Greek sororities and thinking they're Greek. And then they even have some that are supposed to be better than the others, like what is it? Is it Kappa Alpha Psi? I think that's supposed to be where all the fine Shemite men, they pledge that one. And then the woman alternative to that, is it Alpha Kappa Alpha, I believe. And so that's supposed to be where all the pretty black women pledge. Like how, again, we've been brainwashed.
Right.
And then you have some others that are lesser and they have their colors and different things. But it's all about us being something that we're not.
That's
we're
right.
doing things when we're spiritually
Y'all
dead.
right. Tell like it is so damn know.
And then it says, his legs were of iron and his feet part of iron and part of clay. That's where we're at now, the Roman Empire.
Okay.
And Yahweh compared this Roman Empire, partly iron, clay, because it's mixed with so many different people. Have you ever heard the word melting pot?
Yeah.
All right, well that's what he's talking about, melting pot. So now you're going to see, okay, he saw the whole image, and now he's going to let you know what's going to happen to that image. All right, verse 34.
Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and baked them to pieces.
35.
Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the calf of the sun. Gushing forth, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth.
Hallelujah.
Now, this is talking about Yahshua's second coming.
Hallelujah.
And that symbolic breaking the image on the feet, well, the feet held that image up, so it toppled over. That's Yahshua's coming back, his second coming, and putting down all rule, all reign, and authority to bring it in subjection to him. He's going to do it forcibly now. Now he's letting people choose and giving them time. But during that time, he's going to force them to come up under his rulership. But he's that stone. All right, skip down to verse 45.
For For as much as thou sayest that the stone was cut out of the mount without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great Allah hath made.
The great Elohim.
Oh, Elohim hath made known to the king what shall come to pass thereafter, and the dream to certain, and the interpretation thereof.
Yes.
Sure.
So you can read in between verse 35 and 45 and see what the interpretation was that Yahweh told Daniel to tell him this dream meant. But it says, you talking to King Nebuchadnezzar, for as much you saw that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands. Yahshua is called the stone.
Yes.
He's called the stone of Israel.
Yes.
And he's called the stone that the builders rejected.
Yes.
He's called the chief cornerstone.
Yes.
And it's talking about him coming and stopping
Smashing
all of this foolishness. Right. The stone that you saw was cut out of the mountain without hands. Well, that was Yahweh sending Yahshua to do this. And
Praise
Yahshua
God.
said, nobody knows when I'm coming the second time, not even me.
Right.
Only the Father knows, and he's going to let me know, all right, son, it's time to go.
Okay.
So we better be getting ourselves together.
Preparation.
Because he came as a lamb the first time.
Okay.
He's coming as the lion of the tribe of Yehuda. He's coming as Milkamah Iysh,
Yes.
the champion of war next time.
Yes.
He's going to be, what is it? Busting heads and taking names.
Right. Fierce.
and the people that are going to come up against him in the battle will be on his side, clothed in linen, clean and white. Why? Because we're working towards that now.
Right.
You understand the time is now. But there'll be some people coming up against him, and their eyes are going to melt in their sockets, and their tongue going to consume in their mouth. They're just going to drop dead coming up against Yahshua. So he said, you saw it was cut out without hands. It break in pieces the iron. That was the Roman Empire, Caesar, that we're living under, the last one. The brass, well, that was the Greeks, broke that up. The clay, that's part of Rome. The silver, that was the Medes and Persians, broke that up. And the gold, that's the Babylonian Empire, because all of these other empires, the gold, the white gold empire, the white Babylon, each of these other kingdoms took something from them. So really, they're all Babylon.
Right. Right.
All right? Some stuff they left behind, but basically, they all have the same traits.
That's right. It just build on it.
But the thing is, Yahweh said, Yahshua gonna come bust all that up.
Smash it.
So if we're joining Caesar in any way, shape, or form, we're going to get busted up too.
Right. Right. It is
Let's go to
written.
Revelation, the 17th chapter.
Praise the mighty God.
So Yahweh wants us to understand now what you are supposed to render to Caesar and what you have to stand on and refuse
That's
to render
right.
to
No
Caesar.
matter what.
And some of us have been on jobs and they have let us know, well, you know what, it's mandatory. You got to work on the Shabbat.
Right.
Or it's mandatory. You can't take that day off when it's a yearly feast day. See, because we have this project to do and that project to do. Yahweh is looking for us to understand you can't render that to Caesar. You got to stand up and say, I beg your pardon. I understand you all have work to do. Can I come in the day before or the day after, because I cannot not observe this weekly Shabbat. I cannot work on the weekly Shabbat. I cannot work on Yahweh's holy day.
Right. Right.
But you have some that are rendering to Caesar and thinking Yahweh is going to be okay with Yahweh.
Right.
They're not even standing up so Yahweh can back them up.
Hallelujah.
That's deception.
Yep.
That's deceived. When you don't even try to stand up for what's right. And just say, well, you know what, the boss said I got to do this, so that's my flesh reasoning.
That's right. Render it to
And
Caesar.
guess what? I'm going to get busted up when Caesar gets busted.
Yep.
Revelation 17, one verse 9.
Hallelujah.
And here is the mind which have wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits.
Now, Yahweh wants us to know who Caesar is. He wants us to know where Caesar's headquarters is located. So he's saying, here is the pay which hath Kokmah, the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads of 7 mountains on which the woman, Yahweh calls her the great whore,
Okay.
that sits on many waters. This whorish religious system
Yeah.
that's telling you that you can put things off until you are on your deathbed and then make a
Okay.
confession, and Yahweh's going to say, oh yes, yes my son, yes my daughter, I understand you were so busy, I understand, you know, you got upset with the head of the temple, I understand they said this about you and that about you, so you stayed away from the temple, and so you went ahead and you know, assembled at home with yourself. I understand that. You don't even know if you're going to be able to talk on your deathbed.
Right.
Hallelujah. Or think
Why would you take a big gamble like that with your eternal
All right.
salvation?
Amen.
You're going to be thrown into the lake of fire naked. Yahweh forbid that happen to any of us. He said, here's the mind that has wisdom, not only to know this, but to understand what it means. So go search it out in any encyclopedia. What city sits on 7 hills?
Rome, of course.
Just go search it out. All right? Go to Luke the 23rd chapter. So Caesars, Luke 23, were the heads of the last world ruling empire, which is the Roman Empire. And we are up under them now. It is the Greek word found as Strong's number 2541. It means severed or cut off. So the name Caesar means it cuts you off from Yahweh when you render to Caesar what you're not supposed to render.
That's right.
Acts 23. You can't stay connected to Caesar and stay connected to Yahweh. Yahweh said you can't have 2 masters. You're going to love one and hate the other.
Acts 23.
And Luke 23. Luke 23. So the very name Caesar means sever, means you got to make a decision.
Okay.
Who you going to serve this day? Is it Yahweh or is it Caesar?
Okay.
And if you serving yourself, Caesar says, hey, put myself first. Then you serving Caesar.
Okay.
The surname Caesar of Julius Caesar was adopted by Octavius, Augustus, and all of his successors. What it means is the Roman Empire.
Right.
The Roman system. Up under that Roman system, they got a religious system, which all other religions have branched out
That's
from.
it. Y'all right,
Now you have some over there in China in different parts, Buddhism, different things like that. Well, they didn't branch off from Neo-Babylon. They branched off from the original Babylon, the Hamite Babylon.
Okay.
Either way, it's the same thing.
Yep.
It's Rome, it's Caesar, it's the religious system. It just happened to be called Caesar later on. Because what did they call the one at the Tower of Babel? It's like Nimrod and his people. So now it's called Caesar. Okay, Luke 23, and let's read verse 1.
Hallelujah.
And the whole multitude of them arose and led him unto Pilate.
Pilate, verse 2.
And they began to accuse him, saying, we found this fellow forbidding the nations, perverting the nations, and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, saying that he himself is Messiah, a king.
Now, these are fighting words to Caesar.
I know, right?
When any of us stand up and say, we are a king, or we have some type of position, it sets off an alarm in Caesar's mind, just like we read about. We were reading how the Herods joined with the Caesars, joined with Rome, and were killing our people. So now they got Yahshua in front of him, and this Pilate, I don't know if he's an Edomite or not, but he's a Roman. He's under the head of Caesar as being a head in the Roman Empire. So they're bringing Yahshua, saying, they began to accuse him, saying, oh, we found this fellow perverting the nation of Israel. That's a lie.
Right.
Yahshua wasn't perverting the nation. He was setting them back on course.
Right.
They were so perverted, they were thinking wrong was right and right was wrong. They were so perverted, they were trying to be Greeks and Romans instead of being who they are.
Right.
They were so perverted, thinking that you get so busy you can leave Yahweh out of your schedule. Yahweh said we're in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
You got to stay on that straight and narrow path,
Yes.
or else you'll be crooked and perverse.
Yes, you will.
Then you'll be looking at us like, oh, something wrong with them. No, you're the one that's crooked and perverse. And if you don't get in Yahweh's word, you won't know who's crooked and perverse.
Hallelujah.
Because you see, the majority of people are crooked and perverse.
Yeah, right,
and
right.
then you'll
Tell
be
like
thinking,
it is,
oh, hey,
ma'am, no.
I'm just like everybody else.
Right.
Yeah, crooked and perverse.
In the seed.
They began to accuse him, saying, hey, we found Yahshua perverting the nation, forbidding to give tribute to Caesar. It's like, okay, now he's saying don't pay taxes, but that's a lie. Yahshua said,
Give him his tax.
give the taxes. So now they're lying.
Right.
2 lies. And then they said he called himself the Messiah, the anointed one, a king. Well, that was the truth. He was. So am I.
Right, right.
So are you. Why? Because you came into Yahweh's family.
That's it.
But you have people that tell you you perverted. They say you're not in Yahweh's family. They'll say, no, you can't call yourself a son or daughter of Yahweh, but I believe what my father said.
That's what does
I can't help that if you read something from the Bible and you don't believe it,
I know,
that's
right?
on you. I believe my father.
Hallelujah.
All right, verse 13.
And Herod, when he had
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I want to go to John. I'm sorry, John 19. You did good there. I want to go to John 19. So they're accusing him of saying he's a king.
Right, right.
They're accusing you of saying that you repented, got baptized, and now you in the family of Yahweh.
I know, right?
And you are in the kingdom once you keep doing right and staying on
That's
that
it.
path.
Tell it like it is.
They will
boy.
jump down your throat. But the thing is, don't open your mouth. Don't let them jump now.
Right? You
Down
know.
19,
God knows.
because they want to shut Yahshua's mouth. They just like they want to shut
Right,
your mouth.
right.
But really, it's the devil. It's not people.
That's it.
It's the devil and people being deceived by the devil and separated from Yahweh. First thing the devil did was separate him from Yahweh.
Right.
Then he can tell them whatever he wants.
I know,
And
right.
they're not going to know the difference.
Keep the lie.
Praise the mighty
John
God.
19, let's start at verse 12.
Hallelujah.
and from his birth had
Thenceforth,
had
Pilate.
sought to release him, but the Jews cried out, saying, If thou let this man go, thou art not Caesar's friend. Whosoever marketh himself a king, specter against Caesar.
now, so you see how they're bringing Caesar into
Right,
this?
right.
Yeah.
Bringing Rome, bringing the government in.
Right.
It says, from thenceforth, Pilate himself was trying to get Yahshua released. But it said, these natural-minded Hebrews, it was none of Yahweh's people there talking about, no, that wasn't us.
No.
That was the rebels, that was the natural-minded
Right.
people that thought they knew something spiritual when they didn't. They were in deception. Crying out saying, if you let this man go, you're not Caesar's friend. Now who of us that has studied the Bible, has listened to Yahweh and doing what Yahweh said, is going to take one of us and threaten them with taking them to Caesar,
I know, right?
exposing them to Caesar?
Right?
None but the rebellious.
That's
The Bible
it.
said none but the righteous, but in this case, none but the rebellious,
Right, right.
none but the natural-minded, none but the ones that don't understand who they are and
Right.
who you are. But that was a threat. Hey, you're not Caesar's friend, because he's making himself a king.
I
So
know.
we all know Caesar is king. Matter of fact, I got an article here where Caesar thought he was God.
Right, right. Yup.
13.
When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he brought Yahshua forth.
It caused him to bring it forth. Then he said, ooh, whoa, that's a big threat. I don't want to mess up. Hey, because Caesar killed me.
That's right.
Go ahead.
And sat down in the judgment seat in a palace that is called the Pavement, but in the Hebrew, the Yahshua.
All right. Now they say it's in the Hebrew. If we really look that up, that's probably not the word. All right. But it said, but when Pilate heard him saying, Caesar, I'm gonna tell Caesar on you.
I know, right?
Then he said, oh, then he brought him forth. Said, okay, I better go do this.
I know.
All right. Go to Acts 17th chapter. Acts 17. We get there. We want to start in verse 5. Acts 17.
Praise be to the mighty God.
And now this is what Yahweh shows you the motive of his people when they don't understand, who they are
Right.
and who you are.
Right.
And they think, we got me working on this thing about the crabs in the barrel.
Okay.
They think in order for them to get somewhere, they got to step on you.
Right. Just like the world.
And to get the crabs in the barrel, all the man has to do is he puts one in there, the crab can crawl out. But if he puts more than one in there, he puts two in there. What they gonna keep doing is pulling the other one.
Right.
The other one start going up, pull him down, and he gonna try to go up, and then they.
So, yup.
Acts 17. Let's read verse 5.
Hallelujah.
But the Jews which believe
Nah.
not move with envy thou unto them certain lewd fellows of the grosser sort, and gathered a company, and set all the city on an uproar, and assaulted the house of Jason, and sought to bring them out to the people.
Now, who was doing this? It said, but the Hebrews which believe not. They didn't believe Yahweh. So if they don't believe Yahweh, they're not going to believe you.
I know, right?
It's not personal.
No, it's not.
It just, they're listening to the devil.
Yep.
The Jews that believe not were moved with, okay, then they got envious.
I know, right?
Then they got upset, okay, you know what, no, they're not really doing that for Yahweh. No, they're not really hearing from Yahweh. They can't see it because they're hearing from the devil.
Right. And it.
They took with them certain lewd fellows of the baser sort, some low-life folks, right, gathered together a company and set all the city on an uproar, did enough talking. And I was telling before this lesson started, years ago, Messenger Davis's wife gave me such good advice. She said, you know what, I don't talk on the phone anymore. Because when I get on the phone, it's like I always end up talking about somebody. So I don't like to talk on the phone. And you know what? That's such good advice.
Yep.
And we all go through that phase.
Yep.
But Yahweh wants to get us up out of it.
Hallelujah.
And so now, that's the phase I'm in now. I don't like to talk on the phone unless I'm conducting some business. We get on the phone, we say what's going on, and get off.
Right.
I may minister to a few people, but when they start running over and over the same thing again, and in this conversation, and profanity was used, and they, excuse me, and
I know, right?
well, I just use profanity, but you ought to stop. You ought to learn how to stop.
Thus says Yahweh.
That's an idle word, and you're going to be judged for that. Now, it takes practice.
Yes, it does.
But are you willing to practice to get that out of your
Beat that flesh
vocabulary?
down.
Profanity comes from an ignorant mind.
Yeah.
Profanity comes from a mind that is not being renewed
That's it.
fully.
That's it.
Because my flesh tells me, there's something, hey, you know what, when you get to a certain age, you just use profanity. In the devil's world, you do.
Right.
In Yahweh's world, you're supposed to get to the point where you don't use it.
That's it. Praise Yahweh.
Again, Yahweh don't have no dumb people serving him.
No, he don't.
Verse 6.
And when they found them not, they drew Jason and certain brethren unto the rulers of the city, crying, these that have turned the world upside down are come hither also.
So they had a reputation. They heard about them before they actually came. Now they're saying the unbelievers now, Israel, our people.
Yes.
They say, you know what? These people, they took them to the rulers of the city, to Caesar,
Right.
These people have turned the world upside down. Now they're in our city. Hey, Yahweh sent us here to turn
That's
the world
right.
upside down.
That's right.
Now you got a choice. You can listen or not listen.
Turn them up
You
right
can
to
come or not
righteousness.
come. But guess what? As long as Yahweh says the word's going forth, it's going forth.
Hallelujah. It is
And
done.
it's going in love. We're not coming against people.
That's it.
We're representing Yahweh so they can be drawn to Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
There are going to be some that believe. There are some that are not going to believe.
Yeah, right.
And that's the unlovely part about the truth.
Yeah.
Because you have compassion for people. You want them to stop being disobedient. But if they didn't listen to Yahshua, if they didn't listen to Yahweh, Yahweh said that's why he had to enlarge the lake of fire.
Yep.
It's sad. But Yahweh said just think on whatsoever is pure, whatsoever
Yes.
is good report. Get that out of your mind. Don't dwell on that. All right? Because that'll pull you down. Yahweh can handle that.
Yes.
Verse 7.
Whom Jason hath received, and these all do pertain to the receipts of Caesar, saying that there is another king, one Yahshua.
All right, you see how they bring Caesar again.
Yeah.
Why? Because they want Rome to come down on them.
Right.
They said, okay, this man, Yason, he received him, so he's a part of this. Now
Right.
he lives in this city.
Right.
Go get him, like they do among our people. Knock the leader off, and then the rest of them,
Right.
they won't know what to do. He received these people, and they all do contrary to the decrees of Caesar,
That's what they said.
saying there's another king, one
I know,
Yahshua.
right?
Well, we know there's another king too.
He king.
The king, Yahshua. And he is the king of kings.
Yes.
All right, go to Revelation 13. So
Hallelujah.
Caesar became the title, Revelation 13,
Yeah.
for each head of the state of the Roman Empire. That was the official title, Caesar.
Okay.
The title Caesar came to signify worship of the emperors and of the Roman Empire,
Right.
whatever they stood for. Revelation 13, we start at verse 1.
Hallelujah.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy.
Verse 2.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority.
Now, Yahweh wants us to know what's behind this Roman Empire.
Right, right.
Who is upholding them? The dragon. That's the name for the devil.
Devil.
Satan,
Yeah.
the wicked one. Here is Yachanan. Now, he's talking about the same thing that we just read about over in Daniel.
Right, right.
The image where he had a head of gold and
Right.
all this. Now Yahweh's describing it in a different way and using wild animals.
Right.
And he's talking about the same empire. All right, the Caucasian world ruling empire. Said the beast was like a leopard. That's the Greeks. His feet were as the feet of a bear. That's the Medo-Persians. His mouth is the mouth of a lion. That's the Babylonian Nebuchadnezzar. And it says, and the dragon gave him his seat, his power, and great authority. So the
Right.
devil is behind
Yeah.
these empires that are set up because they're without Yahweh.
That's it.
And this one in particular got their own religious system
Yeah.
and got it to a T. Got people we read about going over and kissing the Pope's
I
ring.
know, right?
Got heads of state bowing down. But the thing is, the devil is behind
That's
it.
it.
Yahweh wants us to know.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, verse 3.
Tells them what to say.
13.
Okay, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast.
Verse 4.
And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
All right, so here's Yahshua. He said, I saw one of this beast's head. It looked like, okay, this empire is over. It was wounded. It looked like it died. But it said, no, the wound was healed.
Right.
All it is that Rome came up in another form. It never stopped ruling. It said, and all the world wondered after the beast. Like, okay, what's going on? They don't really know. Let a rock start crying. And then you got the Catholic people running over there.
I know, right?
Talking about this rock is holy and this is going on. And they've even started doing that. Unless somebody gets shot somewhere, they'll start putting little things. They got that from this religious system.
Right.
As a monument to them. Why you gonna monument somebody getting killed?
I know, right?
Said the world wondered after the beast, and they're wondering after him, inquisitive, but they're worshiping the dragon. They're worshiping the devil and don't know it.
Today,
They gave power to the beast, and they worship this religious system. And they saying, oh, this is the best thing going. It's the biggest system out here. It has the most beautiful places. Oh, you can go over to Vatican Square and you can, you know, and see all the statues. Oh, it's so beautiful. They're wondering it, but they're worshiping the devil by doing that. Who's like the beast? Who's able to make war with him? We're going to find out Yahshua is able to make war with him.
I know, right?
And those that are following him being like him.
Right.
I mentioned earlier, I was talking to somebody and then they're Hebrew and they're going to mention somebody, yeah, well, you know, and they're Aquarius, so I understand this thing about it. I said, we are not Aquarius.
I know, right?
You're not a Greek, you're not a Roman. What are you going to tell me about somebody's an Aquarius? We left that way back before we knew Yahweh, right? When we were reading the horrible scope and all that other stuff.
Right.
What's your sign?
I know,
when you're spiritually dead, go to the party and say that dumb stuff. Let's go to, we're in Revelation the 13th chapter. So in 42 BC, the first Caesar named Julius was formally deified, made of God as the divine Julius. So now, when you're rendering the wrong thing to Caesar, what you're doing is you're worshiping the devil, because now they see themselves as God. Caesar Augustus became Diviphilius, son of the divine one. And we all know some other people that made them the son, themselves the son of Yahweh.
Right.
Well, the Gentiles did it too. Maybe that's where they got it from, copying the Gentiles. Some, not all emperors of the 1st to 4th centuries claimed divinity. They claimed they were God. You had Tiberius, Caligula, Hadrian, Commodus, Constantine I, and Julian the Apostate. Let's keep reading at verse 5.
And there were given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blessings, and the power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
Now this is talking about what's called the Great Tribulation period, where again, in Rome, this system has killed most of Yahweh's people. In an organized effort. And Esau is joined with them. Right? This is the one that has killed and persecuted most of Yahweh's people. It said, there was given unto him, now this is talking about this head of the religious system, the papacy, a mouth speaking great things and blasphemy. So when you're saying blasphemy, you're attacking Yahweh, you're attacking Yahshua. You're attacking what Yahweh set up. So you see this religious system is against what Yahweh has set up. And then Yahweh said, but he's going to allow him to do this for 42 months. That's 3.5 years. Now is the time for us to get our head on straight.
That's it.
To understand what we need to understand so we don't get caught up in this period of time, because they are going to force with the militia you to make a choice. Either you're going to stand for Yahweh and obey Yahweh, or you're going to give up your life. I said, Yahweh forbid that any of us get caught up in that. But you got some people fooling around like there is tomorrow and this is never going to happen. But as sure as it's written on this page here, it's going to happen.
It is.
The question is, will we be ready for it?
Right.
Will we understand what's going on?
Okay.
All right, verse 6.
And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Yahweh, to blaspheme his name and his tables and them that dwell in heaven.
So you see, he's coming against Yahweh.
Right.
He opened his mouth in blasphemy against Elohim, whatever Yahweh set up. He's going to tell you, no, you don't have to worship on the 7th day.
No, right.
Worship on the 1st day. And Constantine did force him to worship on the first day.
Right.
He opened his mouth in blasphemy against Elohim. He blasphemed Yahweh's name and his temples and those that are in Shemaiah. He blasphemed us too.
Oh, yeah.
All right, verse 7.
And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
Verse 8.
And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world.
9.
And if man have an ear, let him hear.
So Yahshua saying, please hear this now.
Right.
Hear this. Yahweh saying, please hear this.
Lead with us.
He said it was given unto this religious system
Right.
to make war with who? You and me.
Us.
The Kadashim.
Yep.
And the way he makes war with us now is bringing out all these fake doctrines.
Right.
The way he makes war with us now is telling us that Yahweh's Ruach is a man. And there's 3 that you're dealing with instead of 2.
Right, right.
And he tells you the Holy Spirit is a person. That's making war against you. And if you don't get in Yahweh's word and study it out, then you'll be caught up in listening to this Sunday stuff. You can learn some things from these people once you understand how to rightly divide the word.
Right.
But these things can really trip you up and confuse you because you'll be thinking that you're hearing truth. But Yahweh never said his Ruach was a person.
Nope.
He said it was an it.
Right.
And this religious system took the Bible and put in he to make you believe their false doctrine,
Right.
blaspheming Yahweh, coming against Yahweh.
Like it is.
That's why he said he don't have no dumb people following him.
Right.
Study. Yahweh wants you to know.
For
He
yourself.
wants to tell you. Not so you can put yourself up over somebody else thinking
No.
about how smart you are.
No.
No. So you can save your life and you can save other people's lives that will hear you.
Praise the mighty Yah.
He said, those that dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Our names are in the book of life, but guess what? It can get blotted out.
Right. So just keep it
Depending
there.
on what we do. I'm keeping my name in
I
there.
know, right?
I'm totally surrendered to Yahweh. I'm doing whatever Yahweh tells me to do.
Hallelujah.
I'm saying whatever Yahweh tells me to say. And I just continue to pray for him to show me the way to do it in love.
That's
Because
it.
I know I wasn't taught love before I came to him.
Right.
Okay? Let's go to Revelation 17. So he's saying that if any man have an ear, hear what he's saying.
Right.
So Caesar enforces the payment of taxes. He has enforced worship on Sunday.
Yup.
I've got this article. Who changed the Sabbath to Sunday? Sabbath is the 7th day. Who changed it? And now, if somebody just, pass a law and says, okay, you know what? The Sabbath is not the 7th day. The Sabbath is the 1st day. If they didn't put some force behind it, nobody would have changed.
That's
No.
right.
But they put military force behind this.
Yeah.
Just like you have those red lights out there. If there wasn't some force behind it, people would just be running through the red light. They wouldn't care what color it was.
Right.
All right, he said, this is from the CGI.org website. The watering down of the Sabbath in the first 300 years. Now this is after Yahshua came.
Right.
And people started, Rome was in power. Greek had been in power, but the Babylonian Empire had been trickling down, and people had started getting further and further away from Yahweh. Just like it is today, to where when you stand up and say, hey, it's a straight and narrow path, it's right or wrong, Yahweh said do it this way, Yahweh said to serve him this way, then they'll come back and say, but you know, I have extenuating circumstances. See, I can explain so good why I can't do what Yahweh told me to do. Tell them, you know what? Like Ra'ah Anah sings that song, I pray for you, you pray for me. Yahweh not buying that. I'm not going to insult you, but I'm not going to make you think that no matter how good your excuse is.
Right.
Now I can see if you was up in the bed quadriplegic and you know you couldn't get out unless somebody came. But again, people are deceived. They think that they can come up with an excuse that's so good that this is really working for me. So watering down of the Sabbath in the first 300 years after Yahshua left. The so-called Christians during the apostolic era, from about 35 to 100 AD, kept the Sabbath on the 7th day of the week. For the first 300 years, and he keep using this word Christian. We're not Christians, all right? No. We're talking about true believers. For the first 300 years of believers' history, when the Roman emperors regarded themselves as gods, Christianity became an illegal religion. Now, Christianity didn't, because it was never called Christianity. Yahwehism became an illegal religion, just like it's illegal now. There are people that watch you and me to see what we're going to do, and because you know what? Well, these people know who they are, and Yahweh said this is a dreadful and terrible people from their beginning. So now once they find out who we are, what are these people going to do? So they do different things to try to control, try to keep you so you're contained. Because they figure, right, most people are spiritually dead, but they're so busy wrapped up in themselves, you can tell them the truth straight to their face, and they'll just kind of look like, okay, what? Did somebody say something? What did they say? It's sad. All right, so Yahwehism became an illegal religion, and Yahweh's people were scattered abroad. You can read that in Acts 8 and 1. All right, so now Constantine made Sunday a civil rest day.
No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I am more than a conqueror. I'm waking up out of nightmares, gas for breath. Living in these last days, enemies after my death.